So today we are looking at 7RPA2c practice probe. Number 1, question 1 says Arnold has a picture frame with a width of 8 inches. And I have taught you to write the number with words so we know what it means. And a height of 6. Which proportion could be used to calculate the dimensions of a smaller frame with a width of, that got cut out of our screen here, 5 inches that is similar to the larger one. So we need a width of 5. So 5 is our width. It needs to stay consistent in setting up our ratio. And let's use H for height to represent height. Now looking at these 3 choices, we've got 8 and 6 and 5 with X. That looks good to me as an answer choice. Let's look and see what D says. Okay, yes. So A would be the best answer choice for that one. 8 over 6 and 5 over X. So let's look at number 2. Number 2 says the table below shows the perimeter of an equilateral triangle for a given side length. Which expression represents the perimeter of an equilateral triangle with a side length of n? What are we doing to the side length here to get to the perimeter? And we're staying consistent each time. Now if you know your multiplication facts, you should see that 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. And if you use your calculator, multiply by 3 here, multiply by 3 here. So we're multiplying by 3 each time. So our perimeter is equal to whatever our side length is. Let's say L for length. Perimeter P is equal to whatever our side length is times 3. So let's look and see which choice gives us that. Well, we're definitely not adding 3, so that's not it. We're not multiplying by 2, so that's not it. We are multiplying by 3, yes. We are not dividing by 2. Question 3, the proportion 5 over 8 equals x over y is given if the numerator 5 is divided by 5 to get the value of x. Which expression could be used to find the value of y? So if we take this and divide it by 5, what should we do to 8 to keep it constant? Well, if you do this to the top, you should do the same to the bottom. We're looking for, therefore, 8 divided by 5. That's not A, that is not B. It is not C, it is D. Number 4, a map uses a scale of 2 centimeters and 4 miles. Mary's drive to work is represented on the map as traveling 1 centimeter north and 2.5 centimeters west. Which proportion could be used to determine the number of miles Mary drives to work? I would suggest, if you've got 2.5 there, and you've got 1 there, and we're looking for how much she drives to work, I'd say go ahead and add the centimeters, and we're going to have 3.5 centimeters on the map. Now, from there, use your scale ratio. All right, so we've got 2 centimeters is representing 4 miles. Here we have a total of 3.5 centimeters. Is how many miles? Let's use M for miles. Cross multiply. 2m is equal to 4 times 3.5. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 times 0.5 is 2, so 12 plus 2 is 14. So we've got 2m is equal to 14. Divide both sides by 2, divide both sides by 2, and m should be 7. Now, does that answer make sense? Okay. If 2 is 4 miles right here, we've got another one. That would be 2 miles right there, and then we've got half of 1, so that would be 1 right there. 4, 2, 6, plus 1 is 7. That looks like that makes sense to me. Let's look at our choices. Oh, I did all that work for nothing because I didn't look at my answer choices first. Which one of those is going to help me solve this problem? Don't you just love it when you do all that work and that wasn't even the question? Okay, so here's the proportion I used to actually solve this question. Let's look and see which one actually is involved with that. I see right here 2, 4, 3.5 is in the correct place there. X is in the correct place there. I would choose D there. The table below shows the relationship between C, the cost in dollars of a piece of gold, and W, its weight in ounces. Okay, so there's C, cost in dollars, and weight in ounces. What equation could be used to determine the cost of a piece of gold in any weight? So let's look here. It looks to me, and I can use a calculator to do that, to confirm my thoughts, but I know that 72 divided by 6 would give me 12, because I know my multiplication facts. So I'm thinking from C to weight that I'm dividing by 600. That's just my guess. So I'm going to check it all the way down my table. 72,000 divided by 600. That is 12. That one checked out. 13,200 divided by 600 is 22. That one checked out. 19,200 divided by 32. That is also 600. So I'm dividing by 600 from here to here. Okay. Now, if you didn't know that, how could you figure it out? Okay, if you weren't a math teacher and you didn't know your multiplication facts, how could you figure that out? You could say y divided by x. That's going to give your constant of proportionality if it's a direct variation, which this particular one is. So if you substitute in 12 divided by 7,200 and look at it as a fraction, simplify it to lowest terms, it's going to give you 1 over 600. And if you multiply that, by your cost, that will give you your weight. Okay. Answer that we can mark off would be A. So is it B, is it C, or is it D? All right. I'm not seeing this choice over here. I'm not seeing 1 over 600 times C is equal to W. This is not equal. This is not the same as that. Okay, it's saying divide the weight, divide this one by 600 to get this one, and that's not true. That's not it. Okay, if we divided this by 600, that's not going to give us that. So that's why that's not it. Okay, but that's a very tempting choice. All right, so let's look again. If we start with 600, and divide by the W, divided by 12, is that going to give us 7,200? Sure isn't. So 600 divided by the W is equal to the cost. That's not it either. Now let's prove that 600 times W equals C. I have shown you guys that if you do it this way, is divide by 600, the inverse to go this way is going to be to multiply by 600. And if you check that, that will work all the way up. 32 times 600, 19,200. 22 times 600 will give you 13,200. 12 times 600, 7,200. This is the correct answer. That is all we have for today. Thanks for listening.